Hello YouTube, hello people that are watching us. This is Luis. I'm here for the third episode of Wild Travelers, and today I have here with me Angelos, who has been cycling the world for quite a few years. How many years has it been?
How many years? I started in 2015, and then I was cycling until 2020 with coronavirus, and then from 2022 I started again.
Okay, so you started 8 years ago, but you've been doing it for, let's say, 6.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's quite impressive. So tell me a little bit more about yourself. Like, when did you start? How old were you when you decided to leave Greece on a bicycle?
Yes. I was 26 years old, and I had this idea. Cheers. Cheers, brother. I had this idea of traveling around the world only for 1 year. That was the idea, only for 1 year. But then I started cycling, and I did Europe in 3 months, and then USA, the East Coast in 3 months. And then I started South America in Colombia, and I had such a beautiful time in Colombia that I said to myself, no, I will not hurry up, I will take my time, I will enjoy, and when I don't have money, I will find a solution, I will find money, and I will continue. So I left Greece for 1 year, and it's been 8 years, 7 years and a half that I'm not there.
And you started in Greece, you were thinking about 1 year on the road. Did you have like a specific budget? You were like calculating everything for this time? You had a daily budget?
In the beginning, no, I didn't have a daily budget. Now I have a daily budget. Mm-hmm. Not a daily, my budget is 300 euros per month at the moment. And now it is possible because I also know many ways to save money, not to spend a lot of money. And actually 300 euros, it can be, it may be too much also. Mm-hmm. It can be even cheaper.
Yes, depending where you go as well.
Depending where you go, yes.
And now you just came from Austria and Switzerland, and over there it's more difficult.
Yes. In Europe it's more expensive. Mm-hmm. But also there are ways with couch surfing, work away.
Of course. Did you know about couchsurfing and work away before you left Greece?
Yes, I knew.
You knew.
I didn't know about warm showers. There is another network of people that are hosting that is called warmshowers.org. You can see it in your screen right now. And these are people that host only cyclists.
Yes, I know it. I have an account there. I haven't really used it, but I know it well, yeah.
It's very nice because they are very friendly people, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And you've met many people along the way using warm showers. You know, cyclists that you've
traveled with. I met some people from warm showers, and I met a lot of cyclists that are cycling as well. Especially in Europe, there are many. And in South America there are a lot. Yes, I've met some good amount.
And you were telling me earlier when we were speaking that you've traveled with some people also for like long periods, like several months, with the same cyclist next to you.
Yes. Usually I travel alone, and but like if I find someone who is interested in living this adventure and enjoying life in 2 wheels, let's say, I'm very happy to go along. So in Egypt, I met Alejandro from Argentina, and he bought a bicycle, and we started traveling together. And in total, we spent together 7 months. And then in South Africa, I met Sante, a woman from South Africa, that she bought a bicycle, and we traveled together. We were together traveling for 3 months, I think, 3 or 4 months.
And how was it like traveling with other people? Because at least for me, it's very difficult. I prefer to do it solo because you always have to agree on a plan, and some people they have different habits, different routines.
Yes.
Was it difficult to cope with the other travelers? Like, how did you decide on where you're going, or you're just like, okay, I'm going this way. If you want, you can join me. If you don't, we can split.
No, like the route was not so much of a problem. Where are we going exactly? What was a bit challenging, let's say, is that like me, I was very used to cycle many kilometers, and Alejandro or Sante were not so much into cycling every day, so it took some time for them to. And also me, I was used into doing a very specific routine, like yes, do some kilometers every day, or I knew where I want to put my tent. I knew when I want to stop. I knew where to get my water. You know, sometimes, for example, I don't want to stop to find water because I know if I wait for 10 kilometers, I will be in a city and I will make. So things like these details. But in general, no, it went very smoothly. It went very smoothly. I enjoyed it a lot.
So you've cycled a lot, like more than 40 countries right now.
I have cycled 42 countries, and I have been during this trip in 45 countries. So for 3 countries, I had left my bicycle because in Africa, in Ethiopia, I was with Alejandro at that time, and people there were a little bit aggressive. So they were throwing stones and stuff, and they were looking at the bicycle in a way like the bicycle and our stuff was attracting a lot of attention.
Of course, yes.
And people were trying to take things, and this was not very pleasant. And we thought that like there is so much poverty that it's not a good idea that we are provoking them. So we decided in Addis Ababa that we leave the bicycles and we continue hitchhiking to explore the continent without provoking. But then when I realized later that it's not so much of an issue to have a bicycle. So in Malawi, I bought another bicycle for 60 euros, $60. Very simple bicycle. And I started with the bicycle again. And I had no issues whatsoever.
Since then, you've been using the same bicycle?
No. In Africa, I had this bicycle. And then after Switzerland, after coronavirus, I had another bicycle. And now I realize I need another bicycle.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be doing this amount of kilometers, it's.
The thing is, I never invested in buying a good cycling touring bicycle, strong bicycle. So I'm always experimenting, and I have issues, and I need another bicycle at the moment because the one I have is not for touring.
Yes. Wow. I have so many questions to ask. You know, it's like if we were to continue this episode, we would be speaking here for 24 hours, and it wouldn't be enough. So let's. Of course, we're gonna be speaking about some of your experiences, but now just like to understand better, how many kilometers do you usually cycle in a day?
In a day, it depends. In the beginning, I was making approximately 100, but in the beginning, I was like really go. Now I'm more relaxed. I want to cook when I stop. I put my tent. I want to cook something, play with my guitar. I want to do other things. So I'm more relaxed. I'm traveling with a guitar also. I'm learning the guitar. For the last 25 countries I have been carrying a guitar, and I'm not yet at the level I can really play the guitar. But I really enjoy it, and now I do approximately, let's say, 80 kilometers, or If I'm in a hurry, I concentrate and I can do. Now I came from Budapest. Here is like 950 kilometers in 5.5 days. I was like every day average 140 kilometers.
Yes, that's quite a lot, especially with the mountain ranges that we have.
With
in
mountain
between.
ranges,
Yes.
it was complicated.
So you did the US, you did South America.
So-
What was your favorite destination in the Americas? Like,
In the Americas, for me, my favorites. It's difficult to say. Colombia was very impacted me heavily because I met very beautiful people. I still have contact. They are my friends, and I would like to spend life with them, you know, and be every day with them. And also it was very important for me because I realized that I don't need to hurry, and it changed my perspective on the trip, and maybe in life I would say in the Americas, because I realized how people they enjoy, they are more relaxed, you know, they enjoy music, they take their time with everything.
everyone is happy.
Everyone is
Everyone's smiling, dancing, whatever it is. Salsa in Colombia,
yes.
tango in Argentina.
It was very, very beautiful. South American nature is amazing also in many countries, in Peru. And in general, in South America, you have the coast that you can be in the sea. You have the jungle, the Amazon, that I had a very beautiful time there. Very intense. I saw an anaconda.
Really?
Yes.
Was it when you were traveling to Iquitos 7 days on the boat?
It was close to Iquitos, yes, there in the border between Peru and Ecuador. It was very interesting to see an anaconda, a very big one. And in general, it was very beautiful being in the jungle and traveling with a boat in the Napo River. It was so good.
It's fascinating, like
It's,
normal. Well, not gonna say normal people, but we hear a lot about people traveling the Trans-Siberian, which takes also like 7 days. But this guy did it 7 days on a boat. So
Boat.
this is like, was it comfortable? Because I've heard it's not.
No, it was incredible. You have every person has a hammock, and it's very beautiful to see everyone in the hammock at night. But also for me, it was extremely beautiful at night, specifically that we were on the roof with some other people that I met there that were travelers, on the roof of the riverboat, looking at the stars, the boat moving slowly, and hearing all the sounds of the jungle at night. It's very intense. There are a lot of sounds, a lot of life going on at night, and the stars, and we were relaxing there. Magnificent.
Well, no wonder that you wanted to stay longer.
Yes,
And
no,
you're-
I stayed 4 months in Colombia, 3 months in Ecuador, 4 months in Peru. Because there are so many things with
Yes,
Bolivia
those countries
also.
are also very large.
The nature is fantastic, you know. The mountains also. Ecuador, you know, in Ecuador, Chimborazo is one of is a
The
very
highest.
high mountain. Yeah, the highest. The point that is closest to the stars in the world. In the world. So it is a mountain that is not taller than Everest.
Yes, of course.
But
It's like
because it is
5,000 meters, right?
no 6,800.
6,800. Wow, I thought it was less.
It was high. It was high. It took me many days cycling to go up.
Did you go up all the way on your
I
bicycle?
went up until the refugee, and then I hiked.
How high is that? How many meters? Oh,
Where I left the bicycle in the refuge, in the shelter there in the refugee, 6,000. I'm not sure exactly.
6,000.
But it's a lot, and it was hard for breathing.
That's almost the same as the Everest base camp, and there have been people doing it by bicycle, and it's also, I think, if I'm not wrong, 6,500, something like this, 6.5.
No, it was
meters.
crazy. It was crazy.
Wow, it's no wonder. I imagine your legs, they must be like, stones.
It's getting better and better. But the thing is that I'm not a dedicated cyclist. Like for me, the bicycle is just
You take your time
a
sometimes.
medium of transportation that I don't need to pay. I enjoy also, I love it. But then if I go in a place and I am with a family, for example, very lovely family, and they cook every day beautiful food, I eat. I smoke if I'm with people who smoke. I do the life that I am encountered with. And then when I continue traveling, it may be hard in the beginning, cycling, but then my body is used to, and then I go.
Well, we're going to go for a short break. We're gonna come back because I want to hear his crazy stories about Africa, which I have no clue what he's going to tell us about. I know there were some issues, and I can't wait for that. Okay, see you guys in a few minutes.
In a few minutes.
We are back. Second part of our podcast, episode 3 with Angelos. Angelos, you're going to be telling us now a little bit crazier stories from your trip, I've heard.
Crazy stories.
Yes, so we're going to talk about Africa. You spent 2.5 years cycling in Africa. It is common that people travel from the north to the south or from the south to the north. But this man, he did the whole coast, almost. So both sides, east and west coast.
Yes, actually the idea was to travel from the Egypt to South Africa, which I did, but then I liked it so much and I wanted more, and I continued on my way north from the center and then from the west side of Africa. It was amazing.
It was amazing, but also difficult.
It was also difficult, yes. But I had some difficult experiences, but I can say that was like 3% of my time that I was there in Africa. And another point is that it may be that some experiences are more difficult, but at the end, if the goal is learning, and for me the goal is learning, the experience, despite at the moment may have like a positive or a negative charge, at the end of the day it has to do with the amount of learning you get out of it. So at the end it's always positive if you have a learning mentality.
Of course, yes. Everything that happens, you're always learning.
Yes.
So overall, your time in Africa was amazing.
Yeah. It was for me very significant in many ways. One very important is to understand how privileged I am and how much I need to concentrate on myself and become better and better.
Yes, this is something that we do not perceive because we live in Europe. We are privileged on many things, whether money-wise as well. Even if you are poor in Europe, you're not even close to being the same level as most people who live in Africa. We have many poor countries there, most of them. So I imagine that when people look at you and you're traveling by bicycle, it could also create some issues. Like, for example, they may think you have money. Of course, you're a Mzungu or you're a Pula, depending on the country that you're in.
Mzungu.
How was everything in regards to safety?
In regards to safety, again, 97% of the time was perfect, but I had some safety issues in South Africa. I was attacked passing from a slum before Cape Town. Some people throw me stones, and I stopped and I was like, hey, why you do this? It's not kind. What do you want from me? And they came closer, and then they started throwing stones harder, and they hit me here, and I fell down. They tried to steal my things, but the people from the street, from the cars, they got out and they defended me, and I had no issue after this. And then I had some issues in Central African Republic, which is a country in the north of Congo, Congo Kinshasa. First I had some issues with the paramilitary group. I was with Alejandro at that time. We had some issues. They took our passport and they took us into a UN camp, and they had negotiations with the United Nations personnel there, because they didn't want us to cross their territory, because they were sure that we will be kidnapped. And they did it in order to protect us, in a way.
They were afraid of what was going to happen.
So in order to take the passports back, we needed to agree that we will fly with a UN airplane from Birao, which was a little village, let's say, in the border of Sudan and Central African Republic. We had to fly to Bangui, which was the capital. And then the problems continued there. At the time when we went there, it was the poorest country in the world, Central African Republic. We didn't really know. We knew, but we didn't really know how hard the situation is there, with poverty. People were trying to rob us every day on the road. And I had to spend some days with Alejandro. We had to spend some days at the prison there. That was very intense. That was extremely intense because we were just at the main square, at the center of Bangui, the capital. And two vehicles and motorbikes and armed people with grenades and guns immobilized us, and they took us into the prison that we were with 20 other persons in a very, very small place. We were like this for 3 days, with no food practically, a little bit of water.
And what was the reason to take you to jail?
There was no
reason.
No reason for prison. There was no reason actually. They said it was for our safety.
So they threw you in prison for safety.
For our safety, and in the prison it was terrible because they were torturing people. Other people were torturing people inside the cell. People were being killed in the other places. There were bodies outside in the yard, and there was violence, raping in the
Did you
cell.
see these things happening?
Yes.
Wow, that's...
It was very intense, very intense. Infections, I got an infection. The reason why we got out is because I got an infection in my eyes. And I had pus here, a lot of white pus. I couldn't see. We said to the guard, please, many times. And at the third day, they let us talk with the director. And we had to bring money, go to the ATM with armed guys. And thankfully, we didn't even have so much money. We had 120 euros we had in total.
They accepted that, or did they want
They accepted that. They didn't want to accept, but on our way back to the prison, we gave 10 euros to the guy who was guarding us. And then, when we were talking with the director and he was saying, no, we need more money, you are white people, bring us more money. And we were giving them the slips from the ATM. Insufficient funds that we don't have more money. The guy came and said, okay, let them go, blah blah blah. And the last time we spent in the prison but not in the cell, and we were like, there were so many mosquitoes and we both got malaria.
Oh, How was it dealing with it? Because you were not taking any pills for malaria.
No, we were taking no pills because we were there for so much time in Africa, so it didn't make sense to take pills every day. It was hard. First time with malaria was very hard. I had 5 times in total I got malaria. But then if you have fever, you go and do a rapid test, malaria rapid test, and you see that you have malaria, you take the pills, you are okay.
Oh, really? It's
But
that easy?
It's that easy. But the first time we didn't know it's malaria. I almost lost my kidney. Alejandro had an infection from the prison, a skin infection. That was terrible. They didn't know what was the problem. We were in a Nairobi hospital. It was complicated.
How much time did you spend in prison?
In prison, 3.5 days.
Okay. Were you ever arrested in Africa, in other countries as well?
Arrested, not exactly. I was in prison again in Zambia because I overstayed my visa. I was deported also from South Africa, and I was deported from Zambia, but they deported me to the next country because if not, I had to pay $100 for the penalty, for the fine. That was not fine with me, so I left.
Okay, it was not that bad. At least you were deported to the next country. You were not deported back to Greece.
No. Also, I was deported from Colombia, but it was more complicated because the visa from Colombia was 3 months.
And you stayed 4?
I stayed 4 months, and then when I entered Ecuador, it was my first transition in South America, and I didn't know I had to get the stamp from Ecuador. And I entered Ecuador without a stamp, nobody stopped me, and I went to the capital, I found the Casa de Ciclistas, a place with many cyclists, I stayed there, and one guy said, but you don't have in your passport the entry stamp. I said, no. So I went back to the borders, and they told me that in Ecuador they told me, we cannot put you an entry stamp today if you don't have an exit stamp from Colombia today.
Yes.
And then I went to Colombia and they said, but you are deported, you cannot enter Colombia again. So you cannot enter in order to exit to take the stamp. And I stayed there one day again at the border, and then next day I was like, oh, please, I don't know what to do. Because they were not accepting me back in Colombia and they were not accepting me back in Ecuador. And I was like,
Oh yeah, no.
But finally they put me the stamp and I went. It's okay, all good.
Back to Africa, because you traveled some countries that not many people travel, like Nigeria, Benin. Well, you already mentioned
Nigeria,
Central Africa.
Yes, Nigeria was also very difficult. I couldn't get a visa. I was trying for 1 month to get a visa. They were sending me from the consulate to the embassy 4 times. I went to the embassy and consulate 200 kilometers afar. And finally they took me out from the embassy, a bodyguard, and they threw me on the road and said, you will not go to Nigeria. Because they were telling me I have to go back to Greece to get visa, to apply for a visa and go back and enter while I was in the border. I was in Cameroon. And then I tweeted that is unacceptable, Nigeria, I'm very sad. And I tagged the Minister of Immigration and some newspapers. And in 1 hour, the minister told me, don't worry, I will take care of it. Tell me your email. And they sent me the visa in my email and I entered into Nigeria.
By bicycle with the visa on your email.
Crazy, it was crazy. People were looking at the bicycle and say, you want to cycle in Nigeria? I was like, yeah, no problem. But all good.
And you stayed for
1 month in Nigeria. I did for the coast from Calabar to Lagos.
Wow, you've had quite a few experiences. This is amazing.
Africa, amazing. In every country in Africa, I I had very beautiful and intense time in every country, really. It was hospitality, beautiful people, friendly. I went to schools, we did projects in schools, and I did work away where you volunteer in hostels in South Africa. I met very beautiful people. I was hosted by families for more than a month. We were together, I went to work with them, we planned about the future. It was wonderful, wonderful
And
Africa.
you told me before, you also became sort of famous in some countries, like in Angola.
Angola, it was crazy because I entered Angola from Zambia, and then it was very strange also at the border because they could not believe that I'm traveling by bicycle into territory that there was no asphalt, a lot of sand for many, many days. Seke seke amavulu. A lot of sand in the local dialect in Angola. Seke seke amavulu. I was saying and people were laughing. And I go in the first city, I leave my bicycle outside and I go in a place to buy a SIM. And the person there says, okay, what is your name? And someone from behind says, Angelos Georgopoulos. And I'm like, who are you? And I'm like, he says, we are waiting for you, they call us from the border, we know you are here. And I was like, okay, yes, I'm Angelos, and this is my documents. I take the SIM, and I go out, and there was 100 people or more in my bicycle, around my bicycle, like watching, what is this, is it a guitar? And I was like, hi, and people were like, oh, tu viajes sozinho, like alone, you're traveling, and I was like, yes. And then next to this place, it was the national television office, and they saw all of these people, and they took me inside, they took an interview, and then we crossed the whole city with a lot of motorbikes, moto taxi, like toot, and people from the street like, ah! It was crazy. And then I spent 1 month in Angola, I didn't pay anything, because people were stopping me on the street. Te vi en la televisão, we make a selfie. And they were giving me money, I didn't spend anything in Angola for 1 month. Crazy.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Amazing. Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers again. And we're already starting to run out of time, so from here onwards you'll go to Asia. So you have some stuff to do in Greece. I know that you're going to a wedding of your friend.
Yes.
You come back to Bulgaria, and from Bulgaria you expect to travel towards Turkey.
From Bulgaria I go to Turkey, and from Turkey I go all the way east, Iran, and then I decide, I see Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Southeast Asia, and China, Japan, and from Japan I want to come back from Russia, and then see Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, I want to see, but it depends on the situation.
How many years do you expect to be on this bicycle?
I believe 3 more years.
3 more years.
And that's why I'm so happy at the moment. I have some money, and because I was in Switzerland, I work there. I have some money, and if I keep the 300 euros per month budget limitation, I can be more than 3 years.
It will be more than enough in most of those countries.
Yes.
Obviously not Japan, Korea, and...
Yes, I hope so.
But
also, with couch surfing, bicycle,
work away if you need some extra.
dumpster diving, it's very nice.
You realize that you're probably like, I don't know, 0.001% of people that spend 1 decade cycling, like maybe you don't know anybody else like you.
I don't know, and I don't know in general.
Yeah. Pretty sure you're gonna be meeting nice people along the way, maybe you're gonna travel long periods, and I don't know, like, I want to go to Asia, and I really have a feeling that we're gonna meet there somewhere.
Yeah, we're gonna meet there.
Maybe I'll be by bicycle. I really want to do the same. So.
It's fantastic traveling by bicycle. It is a sense of freedom indescribable.
I am
it's amazing.
sure we're gonna meet again.
Yes.
So we're gonna wrap up this. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode with Angelos. We had a really fun talk here. You can also follow his blog. So he has a blog. It's can you mention the name of your?
My blog is awesomerides.cc. You can see it in your screen somewhere here.
Yeah, I'll put it on the screen. I'll also put it on this description. You're gonna be seeing that. Thanks a lot for being here. It's really awesome to have you over, and
I thank you very much. It's also a pleasure and an honor for me to meet someone who has traveled so extensively as you have. And also at another point, in Asia maybe I take an interview of you because you have a lot of experience in traveling as well.
Not exactly the same experience. I still think I'm a beginner next to this guy, and well. Cheers.
Enjoy, guys.
Also,
happy travels.
Also, if you enjoyed this episode, you can also support me on Patreon. The link is posted down below. Also, my Instagram, Facebook page, and YouTube. I've recently started with YouTube Shorts as well, so feel free to like those, comment, and share with your friends.
And subscribe, please.
Bye, guys.
Ciao, ciao.